Hey guys, I'm Kalani Laker with Optics Planet, and today we're going to finish off this wonderful rifle build that we're doing. Jansen helped you guys through with the lower receiver. Rob came in and knocked out the upper receiver. Now what I'm going to do is the fun part. This is what makes building an AR-15 fun, makes you an American. They're very versatile rifles, and what you can do now that you have your build, now we're going to start adding the accessories to make it very job specific. Today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to help with my expertise in 3-gun. I'm going to finish off this particular gun for my sport that I shoot. You could also take this rifle with different accessories and make it good for hunting, make it good for LEO work, self-defense work, all kinds of stuff, even target shooting. So today, we're going to add a Vortex 1-6. This scope is really taking the market by storm. It'll let you shoot targets from contact out to about 600 yards. It's very wonderful. We'll go into more detail a little later. We'll be using a single piece mount right here for the scope. We'll be adding some offset iron sights. We'll be using a rail, an M-LOK rail, accessory rail, to attach a Streamlight TLR1. And at the very end, no rifle is complete without a sling. Now we're going to attach the single piece Vortex mount along with the Vortex Strike Eagle 1-6. There's a couple of things to keep in mind. Always check the manufacturer's torque specs for both the scope rings and also the mount itself. Once you get the mount on the rail, push it forward in the slot. That's going to help keep your zero. So for now, what I'm going to do is go ahead and just hand tighten the mount screws. Nice and easy, doesn't have to be too hard. So I'm going to show you what we're going to do next here. Like I said, there's 2 important things to do when you're mounting your scope on your rifle. Scope rings off here. Okay. So what I'm doing is I'm mounting this Vortex Strike Eagle. Like I said, there's 2 things very important. One, you need to make sure that the scope is level. And there's 2 ways of doing that. The first way is to use a bubble level on your rifle and make sure that the rifle is absolutely level, horizontally wise. Then you can take a second bubble level, stick it on top of the scope cap here, or underneath, right here on this flat portion of the scope, and then you can go level to level. That's one way. Another way you can do it, again, you want to level your rifle, and then hang a string or a plumb bob in front of your rifle, and then use the vertical string to level out your scope. That's the first important thing you need to do. Once you get your scope level, you will then mount the scope rings. I like to use a little bit of Loctite when you're finishing up this process here, but for now we're just going to go ahead and hand tighten it. Again, use the check the manufacturer's specs on the mount to make sure you get the correct torque. So we've got the scope level using one of those 2 methods I explained. And that's only one part of the process. But the second part of the process that's very important is you got to make sure that you have the proper eye relief. A lot of people, when they go to mount their scope, they get it about this position, it's level, and they're going to mount that rifle. Say, yeah, that looks pretty good. The problem with that is that your head is pretty upright. When you go prone, your head is going to move forward on that rifle. So I like to, when I establish the eye relief that I like, I do it from the prone. So that's the best way to do it, I feel, because your body's more rigid and more locked down into position. That's the reason why we prefer the prone position. When you're shooting offhand, you have a little bit more leeway in your head position. So the field of view isn't as important as a prone. Also, usually when you're shooting offhand, you're at a lower magnification setting, so your eye box is really big. But when you go prone, you turn up your magnification a little bit, then the eye box is going to get tight, and then the eye relief becomes even more important. So when you set your scope up, first thing you want to do is make sure that the scope is level, and the second important thing you want to do is make sure that the eye relief is properly set. And your eye relief, like I said, I prefer to set it from the prone position. Next up, guys, we're gonna install some 45-degree offset iron sights. There's a couple of reasons for these. Depending upon the stage that you're shooting in the game of 3-gun, you might want to keep your scope set at a higher magnification, but what happens when proceeding to that shooting position, there might be some close range paper targets that you might have to engage. Well, that's the reason why I mount the 45-degree irons. So as I'm moving to a position where I might engage some long range targets, I'll go ahead, I'll tilt my gun 45 degrees and I'll use the iron sights for close range target engagement. Sometimes the worst case scenario happens and your primary optic goes down. At that time, you'll also be able to still engage your targets out to pretty reasonable range as long as you have it zeroed correctly. So let's go ahead and start. On this ALG rail, at the front of it has some picketing section. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and mount that sight there, the front sight first. Make sure to use Loctite on these screws. So I'm just going to hand tighten them right now, get them in position. And then when I'm out at the range and I'm zeroing my primary optic, I'll go ahead and take a time, and I usually use a 50-yard zero on my offset irons. That'll allow me to effectively engage targets out to about, I'd feel comfortable shooting out to about 200 yards with that. Nowadays, there's some very high quality iron sights out there. And again, our military has been using iron sights for a long time. They're very effective. Get that going. Let's just kind of check that out real quick here. So that's nice. And I'm going to twist that thing over, back and forth. Looks great. That's going to work out right there. Next up, we're going to install a sling. Every rifle needs a sling, in my opinion, just like every pistol needs a holster. I prefer the 2-point padded style of sling. This example is a 511 VTAC padded sling. What I like about it is it's comfortable, and it also has a wide range of adjustability. So it'll fit any kind of body type and any kind of work you're going to be doing with your rifle. On this rifle, we have the PRS stock, which has a regular sling loop. What's nice about this ALG handguard, it actually has a built-in QD mount. So let's go ahead and mount this real quick. What you do is you got to find the front and the rear of the sling. So the padded side is going to be by your shoulder. We'll go ahead and just thread that through there, and then you have two, I think they're called 2 3-bar sliders here. There's one, and you always want to use 2 because 1 is none. So this gives you a little bit more reliability, and in our sport, reliability is king. So this will make sure that when you're running, the sling isn't going to inadvertently slip out of these buckles and fall on the ground, resulting in sometimes a stage DQ, but worst times it'll be a match DQ. So that's the rear. That's good to go. It's solid on there. We got double buckles. So we're going to go and stretch this sling out, and we use a QD swivel here, and that's going to go directly right into the handguard, ready to go. Then on this particular unit, you can adjust the size, one with the buckles up front, and then when you're under the clock, you can adjust it via this little quick tab here. So that's nice and tight. You pull on this and it's going to loosen it right up. Sometimes, depending upon the handguard that you prefer, there might not be a built-in QD swivel. Luckily, Optics Planet sells all the accessories you want. So if you want to put a sling up here, here on the bottom, you can use an accessory rail or a dedicated mount, quad rails that have full Picatinny on it, or there's the key mod system also, which will allow you to put the Picatinny rails wherever you want. All right, guys, we're almost done. We finished our lower receiver, we finished our upper receiver. We got all of our accessories on this rifle, and it's ready to go for 3-gun. However, like I said, this rifle is a very versatile platform, and I'm going to take it one step forward. It's ready for 3-gun, and now I'm going to make it ready for nighttime 3-gun. What I love about these rails is I can place a flashlight wherever I want to place it, so it's going to fit me. What I like to do is I'm gonna go ahead and take an M-LOK rail, 2-inch rail here. I'm gonna mount it right here about the 1030 towards the end of the handguard, not right up on the end, because sometimes I'll hit it with when I'm running through a door, it slips right in. I'll go ahead and tighten that up. Now you don't need to use Loctite or anything on most of these rails with the M-LOK system. It tightens through a nice little, once you just kind of, it'll tighten down with just finger tight torque there. And this can be good to go. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and use a Streamlight TLR1 HL. This is very high power. It's great for rifles. I can engage targets out to about, I'd say about 200-300 yards in the middle of the night. A very effective range for my rifle. So with the Streamlight, that just go ahead and you press it on, you press the button, slip it on. Again, similar with the mount, I'm going to take this flashlight, I'm going to push it forward in the slots, and then I'm going to take a flat screwdriver, tighten that bad boy up. Now, when you're mounting an accessory to your rifle, you don't want to tighten it up right at the beginning. You just want to kind of finger tighten it, play with the rifle, make sure it's exactly where you want it. I do know where I like mine. I've shot quite a bit of nighttime matches, so I do know where I like my rifle there, or my light. So what I'll do is, a little finger tight, I'm gonna bring it over here. I'm gonna make sure that my thumb actuates it. That is absolutely perfect. There you have it, nice and easy. Anybody can do this, and I suggest you get out, get the parts necessary, whatever parts fit you. Once you get your parts, you get your accessories, and go out and have fun. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed this build as much as we did. Jansen started out with the lower, with the strip lower, completed it. Rob jumped in here, completed an upper. Because the AR-15 is such a versatile platform, I decided to take this AR and put the accessories that I needed for a 3-gun nighttime match. Jansen, what do you think?
I think it's ready to rock. We should take it to the range, see how it goes.
Good, absolutely.
For Rob, Kalani, I'm Jansen Jones. We're here with OpticsPlanet.com. Thanks for watching.